Welcome to our show. It's election week for Hong Kong. Biggest election ever. I mean,
biggest
the number of candidates.
Oh yeah,
huge. And even the functional constituencies.
Yeah.
So with that, I have to thank you for watching our show. We have Mr. Andrew Wong, founder and editor-in-chief of Harper Times. Welcome.
Right.
And Vincent Wong, founder of Solution on Wheels. So we'll help you to or assist you in thinking about a solution for this Sunday.
Yeah.
Where should you put your two chops?
Yeah, people have been asking me. They've been like,
where should you put our two chops?
Yeah.
So we'll do it macroscopically. After all, it's the final week.
Yeah.
When you talk about independence in the past,
Yes.
Or the previous council elections, you most likely you think about the other independents, the ICAC, the Independent
of our
Commission against Corruption, right?
Sure.
So, but this year, you talk about independence is a different discussion.
Yeah.
It's about Hong Kong independence.
That's right. It's a whole new thing for this election cycle. And I mean, it's really dominated the entire LegCo election cycle.
Yeah.
So we have a fairly, for people who don't quite get this, we have a fairly restricted LegCo election cycle because as soon as you open your mouth and say, I'm running, you have to start spend. Every dollar you spend gets tracked by the election commission.
Let's say, for example, I'm just as a hypothetical situation. Let's say Andrew announced that he will run for legislative council
in like January
in 2020. Today.
Yeah, today.
Yeah. Even this election has not happened yet.
Yeah.
All his expenses.
I walk out of here, I take the MTR.
Will be counted towards the 2020 Legislative Council election.
So nobody.
Of course, it's not right.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not thinking about running now.
No.
But who knows?
Who knows? So people avoid declaring their candidacy until the end.
Right?
No, don't worry about it. We're good. People avoid declaring their candidacy until right up to the. So we have a fairly limited time period. But during this time period, since the closing of the nomination period, all the talk has not been about policy. It hasn't been about what people believe in for the future of Hong Kong. It's been like 2% that, and like the rest has all been about independence issues. The government comes up with this idea that people should sign a form that says that they're not going to support independence.
They have to confirm that they fully understand three specific articles.
Yeah, Article 1, Article 12, and Article
159, bracket 4.
There you go.
Yeah, of the basic law. So we got a whole cycle, and I think our watchers are pretty savvy. They know about this. So we have a whole cycle where the declaration is made that you're going to have to sign a declaration. So then we discuss that, and then we actually discuss who's going to sign it and who's not going to sign it. And then finally we find out who's going to sign it. And then they find out who gets who. Some people
believe,
some people who didn't sign and does not get in.
Yeah.
Some people who didn't sign, they get in.
Yeah.
Some people who did sign, they didn't get in.
I mean, so the whole thing was a farce. It was just a ridiculous farce.
Well, some people sign and they get in as well. So all four situations, all combinations.
Yeah, I mean, so nobody really knows what it means. So finally, but that's all we're talking about. So we have all that talk. And then we have a whole nother week where somebody says, oh, back to school, kids are talking about independence groups at school. Oh, wait, we can't have that. So then we spend a whole nother week of the election cycle talking about what people can and can't say in schools, and Eddie Young jets off to Beijing to get guidance, and should he have done that or not, and he comes back, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that was like more than a week. That was probably 9 days of having that talk.
Yep.
In the meantime,
school didn't start yet.
Yeah, school
officially.
hasn't even started.
It's still August.
Yeah.
By the time we record it.
And during that time, any kind of candidate-related LegCo news is like buried on page 10 of the newspaper, right? The front page is all the independence talk, and anything actually related to the campaign is nobody's talking about whether or not they support the runway budget.
On that point, I think the candidates were to blame.
Okay.
I mean, they have all this broadcast debate.
Yep.
Recorded debate, live debate.
And what do they talk about? The Independence Declaration, whether or not they should talk about it.
Not all of them, but they cannot create another issue.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't want to be dragged in.
Yeah.
They cannot create a different topic.
Yeah.
Such that the voters
would move the focus from here to here.
Yeah. And I mean, after the election, like maybe one localist will get elected. It's not going to be an issue in LegCo. So why are they? But here's the theory. So why all this talk of independence right up to the election?
Yep.
I think I know why. It works for two groups of people that are to have that fight, and there's another group of people that get left out of it, and they lose out.
So it's a triangular relationship.
Yeah, I love triangles. You know, political triangle.
Hate triangles.
Yes, but who are the most loving in this triangle? Number one, the pro-government forces, and number two, the localist independents. They want to see this discussion. They want it top of the list. The people that lose out are the Democrats.
Or
the Pandems.
Yeah.
The Pandems. They're losing out. Why? Government, because for the DAB and the FTU, if nobody talks policy, right? If they're not talking about policy, if the DAB and the FTU have to talk about policy, they might have to admit that they support CY Leung and his government, because that's pretty much what they do, right? But if it's all independence talk, all they got to do is just say, well, hey, you know, we're not down with this independence talk, and voters will go, oh, good enough for us. And they'll get, you know, especially old people, they get all riled up about this, and they'll get their people, their friends to come with them. It's a good get out the vote for the DAB, the FTU, not so much the BPA, but probably the MPP. It'll help them to get voters out, especially old voters, right? Which, you know, voter turnout's always a big issue. Fantastic. They love it. They don't have to talk about policy. All they got to do is let the government carry
They
the
actually have a term in Chinese or in Cantonese for that.
What is
because the word for independence,
Yeah.
let's say Hong Kong independence,
Sure.
in Cantonese is Gong Dok.
Gong Dok.
Gong is Hong Kong,
Sure.
Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Dok is independent, right?
Okay.
And the Cantonese pronunciation of Dok
Yeah.
is exactly the same as toxic.
Ah, okay. So that's catchy. That works for them. If
Toxic.
they want to,
So they are saying it's the toxic
right.
or the
right.
toxification of
Yeah.
Hong Kong, or
Yeah.
not the intoxic, but the toxic of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So within the pro-establishment camp,
Yeah.
they are saying that this is the detoxification campaign.
Right. Okay. So they're going to cleanse Hong Kong. They're going to make everything clean again.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, so we understand why it works for the government and the pro-government forces, right? Then we have the localists and independence guys. They love it because this is their issue. They get to play the persecution card. Look, our guy Edward Leung got banned. We're being put down. Now they're saying they want to ban free speech in schools. I mean, it's great. As long as that plays out, there are candidates that are a little bit borderline, right? Again, get out the vote.
Good show, huh?
Young voters tend to have lower voter participation.
Good promotion. At the very least, it's good promotion for them.
Yeah, it's great promotion, but it also gets people angry and upset. They're persecuting people, suppressing freedom of speech. Young voters, I hate to say it, but you don't have the best voter turnout rate. Your voter turnout rates tend to be low. You know, it's like, I meant to go vote, but, you know, movies. So,
They may not agree.
no, I'm sure they wouldn't, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie, you know? And so it's, you know, for young voters to get out there, and if they're upset about this, that's great for the independents and localist guys. However, we have a loser in this love triangle, this political triangle.
Yep.
The Pan-Democrats. Because the Pan-Democrats, a lot of their voters do not want to see this independence debate happen at all. But on the other hand, when it comes to them and they're like, oh, should people be allowed to discuss independence in schools? They have to support free speech. They don't really have a choice. But, I mean, they're like, yes, people should be allowed to free speech, but we're not independents, we're not splitists, we're not separatists. And it's like, oh, but you support them talking about it in schools.
Yes, we support free
them in
speech,
school, but I mean, it becomes very hard, it becomes very muddled for them on one hand, and on the other hand, it doesn't allow them to hammer home the message that they want to get out, which is like Helena Wong. Hey, I'm the woman who discovered the lead in water. Vote for me because this government's screwing up. That's the message she wants to get out there. That's buried on page 10, 11, 12, because everybody's talking about whether or not we should talk about independence in schools.
Yeah.
That's the analysis for the day.
Yeah, so I think I've been saying that the pandemic was in the wrong track.
Yeah.
About a month by now.
Okay.
I think I have a solution for them.
Yeah.
I'm all for solution journalism.
Okay.
I have a solution for everyone.
Okay.
From your analysis, great work by the way, and I think is a good solution for the pandemic, for the pro-establishment and the localists.
Yep.
to focus on the independence.
They want to keep this fight alive.
So I think they will see the discussion as a good solution, right? But
Yeah.
for the pandemic, it's a bad solution.
Terrible.
Or it may be a problem, not even a solution. So I have a solution for them. I mean, maybe too late now, it's the last week, but I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I already provided a solution for them.
Okay.
And the solution for the Pandemocrats, they might be able to do it now, is that focus on the term
Right.
of your candidacy.
Okay. What can we do in the next 5 years?
4 years.
Okay, 4 years. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was challenging the Pandemocrats. Why do you want to keep this discussion alive?
Yeah.
It's hurting us.
Sure.
It's hurting your whole alliance, right?
Sure, sure.
I mean, what you should do is that we are all for free speech.
Yeah.
But let's focus on the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to do it,
Sure,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm
focus on
saying.
the next 4 years. I mean, I understand that issues about 30 years from now
Sure.
is very important.
Yeah.
But Hong Kong is burning.
You're running for to have that job.
I am running for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Voters, let's focus on the next 4 years.
Yeah.
That's the way for the Pandemocrats to do it.
They got less than a week to go.
Yeah, but
We'll see what they can do with
it's
it.
too late now. But this is the message I think
Yeah.
they can get some of the votes back.
Yeah.
And I think the pro-establishment camp are willing to engage in such a debate.
Sure.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want,
yeah, yeah.
what do you want to get for our voters? I can get this. What you can get? I mean, that's a much interesting discussion.
Sure,
Which
sure.
can pull people away from issues from 2047 onwards,
Sure.
right? So, I have a solution, but whether they listen to it or not, or whether they have already given up, is
I
the
don't
last
know.
week. I mean, we don't know.
You the voters will decide.
I mean, would you agree with my solution? Leave your comments below.
Yeah.
And thank you again for the great work by Mr. Andrew.
Hey, always happy to come and hear some solutions, Vincent.
All right, see you tomorrow.
All right.